Support provided by Lafayette Travel, Red Stick Sports, and the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion. As we told you when we debuted Game Notes, Scott and I have worked together for the better part of the last 10 years. And on some previous shows and our working together, we used to joke about Vanderbilt. We'd watch those Commodores if they got a win. They're no joke. Yeah. This is not your grandma's Vanderbilt Commodores.
Yeah, everybody used to circle Vandy on the schedule in the SEC. That's not happening anymore in the SEC conference.
When are we playing Vandy at home? Homecoming, right?
Exactly.
Well, it was Vanderbilt and LSU in Nashville. Vanderbilt for the first time since the 40s favored in a game of ranked teams to get the win at home. Clark Lee's Commodores looking to go 6-1 for the first time in 75 years. Not a shock to see a lot of purple and gold making the trip to go hang out off of Broadway and check out this ballgame. It's 3-0 LSU, and Diego Pavia goes 20 yards. It's ruled a touchdown, but when you take a closer look, he's down at the 1. That's all right. Everybody comes back on the field, and he just goes right back in and scores it. Punches it in there, so it's 7-3 Commodores. Late in the first, 3rd and 10, Garrett Nussmeier finds Barry and Thomas 25 yards and gets the first down. First play of the second quarter, here's where the drive ends. Nussmeier's in trouble, but he finds Trey'Dez Green, and Green takes it to the house. 20 yards for the touchdown, and LSU's up 10-7. 5 minutes into the second quarter, Pavia waits, looks. Remember, Scott talked about the pocket. What do you need to do with this quarterback? We'll talk more about him in a moment. But he makes the completion there. Cole Spence takes it down to the 4. And then 4th and goal from the 1. Cedric Alexander torpedoes his way across the line, gets the touchdown. It's 14-10 Vanderbilt. Under 2 minutes to go in the half on 4th and 1. There's that Pavia, but this time he gets sacked. Great pressure by West Weeks. Gets the sack for the Tigers, but LSU can't do anything with it. So Damian Ramos comes in from 42 yards out. Even though they had good field position, it's 14-13. It's 17-13 at the half, and now we're in the third quarter where Vanderbilt's up top, and it's a wide open pass for Cole Spence. Way too easy, gets the touchdown. It's 24-13. What you thought might have been the play of the game, midway through the third, Nussmeier in all sorts of trouble finds Xavier Thomas, who turns it into a miracle. Spins out of 2 tackles, and he's gone. 62 yards. It's 24-21. Vandy up by 3. Same score, under 4 to play in the third. On 4th and 1, here's Pavia being Pavia. Look at him run around, scramble, find some space, then gets the pass and the first down on a gain of 12 to keep the drive alive for the Commodores. Same drive, under a minute to go. Pavia sees pressure, and there he goes. Runs away from it, runs straight into the end zone for the touchdown. It's 31-21. Fourth quarter, after a 1st and goal comes up short, it's 2nd and goal. Great move, touchdown for the Tigers, but a false start on LSU brings the ball back to the 6. They can't punch it in for a touchdown, settle for another field goal. Garrett Nussmeier being consoled on the bench because Vanderbilt holds on to get the win, 31-24. The rushing game, once again, a problem for LSU. They do hit the C note, but Vanderbilt runs for 239. And time of possession, we talked about it with Army and Tulane. How about Vanderbilt with 36.5 minutes of time of possession? They took advantage of possessions. LSU struggled. Next up for LSU, doesn't get much easier. Prime time next week in Tiger Stadium against number 4 Texas A&M. But first, reaction from head coach Brian Kelly after the loss.
You know, we had opportunities. We didn't cash in on them. From an offensive standpoint, we had 3 opportunities to score that were field goals. And look, our guys know we were playing a team that was going to make it very difficult for us to possess the football. We had 3 possessions in the first half. So it's like playing triple option. And we did not play well enough on either side of the ball to be the better team today. And Vanderbilt was the better team today because they executed at a higher level. So when you look at it in its totality, defensively, not enough stops, and offensively, when we had an opportunity to score touchdowns, we had to kick field goals, and that was the difference in the game. The offense had mustered, some things offensively that we had been lacking, but when our defense made a couple of stops, we couldn't turn those into positive possessions, and obviously, cashing in on 1st and goal from the 1. I mean, you got to score a touchdown there. I mean, that to me is, we jump offside and it is what it is, right? I mean, we just didn't execute at the highest level necessary against a team that played really well today. That other than their 4th down turnover on downs, they played flawless. And when you play a team like that, that's going to take care of the football, is going to eat clock and limit your possessions, you equally have to play to that level. And we just did not. They were the better team today.
Is it a confidence level, lack thereof, you think, on offense?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of what is our identity? You're at this point in the season and you don't know, can we run the ball? Can we not run the ball? Is our quarterback healthy? Is he not healthy? There's a lot of questions on the offensive side of the football. So it's hard to establish an identity when there's still so many questions remaining.
Take you back to the Louisiana Tech game when LSU won. If you remember in that ball game afterwards, Sonny Cumbie said, hey, late in the ball game, they settled for a field goal. We stopped them. We felt like that's a win, a salute to us the way we played. Remember their points. They scored in the 50s against Southeastern. Other than that, they scored 24 in this loss.
Yeah.
That's their most points this season against an FBS team.
And you know what? It's not a sin to have a bad offense. There's a lot of teams that don't have good offenses throughout the country, but they find ways to win. I think the biggest thing that I'm noticing when I watch this LSU team is the offense is not coming along the way you want it to. They certainly have great playmakers. They lost a lot of really good offensive linemen to the NFL. I still think you're seeing that hangover. My frustration when I watch this LSU team is the defense. I think the defense is way too talented to allow a Vandy team to go up and down and to run for that many yards, to rush for 239 yards against an LSU defensive front who probably not one of those guys was recruited by Vandy or would have went to Vandy. So I think you have the talent, you have the skill level that should have overpowered Vandy. When I watch LSU's defense, there's tons. We used to grade loafs, effort to the football. In our meeting room, in the Saints meeting room, it said up on the wall, loaf equals traitor, go play for the other team. That's how we approached every single game. If you weren't going to play hard every play, you got to loaf. I just don't see LSU playing hard on defense. And there's way too many talented players over there. How you don't spy this quarterback every single play is beyond me. There was just a lot of questions I had after this game was over.
Well, speaking of that, because Diego Pavia was outstanding once again, and we knew going in, we heard from Brian Kelly and the Tigers on Saturday's game notes talking about, what did they say? They want to try to make him uncomfortable, and I even asked Scott, this is a guy who likes to scramble. So how do you make him uncomfortable? Remember, Scott said it's the reverse. You want to try to keep him in the pocket. Well, there, the pocket falls apart. Scott, he runs 20 yards. He thought he had 21. He comes in on the next play and winds up scoring a touchdown. But even when they had him in the middle of the field, to your point about spying, do you try to keep him contained? You know, how tough is it to try to keep him contained? Because look, here, he feels trouble. Well, this is exactly what he wants. It's 11 yards and a first down.
And, you know, he's a talented player. I'm going to give him that. There's sometimes you watch guys on film and you say, okay, we're going to take this away from them, but yet they're still talented enough to do it. Going into this game, just, you know, rushing 3 or rushing 4, you have to have a spy on this guy every single play. Going into this game, you circle him and say, we're going to put 2 guys on him if we need to. Somebody else is going to beat us. And it's a shame that he was the reason you lost the game.
Yeah, and he made so many big plays here. You get one-on-one, and he's trying to get him off the edge. Now he's going to throw the fake. Once again, he goes down. There was just so many opportunities LSU tried, and it seemed like every time they tried something, Vanderbilt figured out a way to find a way to get out of it. Here's another one where he feels that pressure from behind. There's the pocket. Now look at this. There's 15 yards wide open.
Yeah, and we talked about that in the pregame show. Just having rush lane, having rush integrity. You can't blitz 5 or 6 guys every play to contain a quarterback, but when you rush 3 or 4, you have to know how you're rushing down the middle of a man and having eyes on the quarterback.
Well, like we mentioned, it doesn't get any easier. Here comes Texas A&M and Tiger State, and then you get a bye week, and then you still have to go to Tuscaloosa after that. And, oh, by the way, don't forget Oklahoma at the end of the season. So the challenges are still there for LSU closing out this season.